Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the Genoa Township Board of Zoning Appeals. The date is September 27th, and it is 7 p.m. And we have 3 agenda items tonight, just to let everybody know. And we have, I guess I'll start off by calling the roll. If I can get to it here. Ms. Driscoll.
Here.
Mr. Boone.
Here.
Miss Yu.
Here.
Mr. Phillips.
Here.
Mr. Hanson.
Here.
And Mr. Carlson is also here. Okay, we got a full house tonight. And we also have a full house. We have 3 cases on the agenda tonight. Excuse me, tonight. And the first item on the agenda is to review and approve the meeting minutes from our prior meeting, which was on August 28th, 2022, if I'm not mistaken. 23rd. And I'll give you a moment to review those, and then I will entertain a motion to approve. I didn't see anything of note, but I'm going to look again. Okay, we just had the 1 case, and then we had the continuation. Okay. All right.
Make a motion to approve.
Ms. Driscoll makes a motion to approve. Second.
Second.
Ms. Yu. Any discussion? Any items, revision of note? Dave? Anything? No? Okay. Then I will call the question. All in favor of approval of the minutes from August 23rd?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Then any abstentions? Okay, hearing none, minutes are approved. Okay, and at this time, we will open the public hearing at 7:03 for our first hearing tonight, which is BZA case 2022-04. What? Oh, right, thank you. Okay, I need to read this into the record, and just so the members that are here today of the public and the applicants are aware. As is the adopted policy of the Board of Zoning Appeals, all applicants will be granted an opportunity to make their formal presentation. The audience will then be granted an opportunity to comment, followed by questions from the board. The policy was adopted by the Board of Zoning Appeals to provide for an orderly discussion of business scheduled for consideration. The chairperson, me, may limit repetitive debate. And also, I should add to this that it is not an opportunity for the audience to debate with the applicant. The questions come from the board, not from the audience. Okay, at this time, I will open the public hearing on conditional use permit 2022-04. Shayla and James E. McGuire requesting approval of a conditional use to construct an accessory building at 5701 Sunbury Road, Westerville, Ohio, 43082, that is currently zoned rural residential with RR. This is BZA case 2022-04, and it is continued from our August 23rd meeting. And those that wish to appear or speak on this application, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Be seated. At this time, we will enter into evidence exhibits A through D, which includes the legal notice, the sign-in sheet, the application, the staff report, and I would request that those that come to the podium or to the table, whether you're the applicant or a member of the public speaking, please introduce yourself, name, and address. And at this time, we will start with our staff report. Susan Dorch.
Thank you, Mark. I don't really have anything to add from the previous meetings. This one's been continued twice prior.
Did we do the staff report at the original meeting? I don't recall.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
So I think if it's all right with you if the applicant can present where they are now
Yeah, absolutely.
and then if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to.
Sure,
try
if you
to
guys
answer
want to
those
come
for
up,
you.
and you can either stand at the podium or sit at the table. And please introduce yourself for the record.
I'm Jim Burgard, landscape architect, 5737 Lake Forest Way, Westerville, Ohio. Good evening.
Hi,
I
Jim.
think we know each other.
I was going to say, nice to see you again.
Yeah, well, thank you.
You're on the Christmas card list.
Okay. Well, as you know, the last several meetings had to do with getting approvals.
Correct.
Through, well, actually Delaware County. And what happened is to apply for this conditional use, we needed to combine the two properties, which we've done, and I have the legal document here. And in conjunction with that, one of those pieces of properties was on a plat. So we had to vacate the plat. But Delaware County has in fact vacated the plat. I have the documents here. Unfortunately, it's taken forever. They haven't recorded it.
Okay.
But it's signed and so forth, so.
Staff, go ahead.
I think everything's been recorded. It hasn't shown up on the auditor's site yet as, it's not showing it combined because they only do that on, I believe, a monthly basis,
Oh,
that they update their site.
Okay.
But I do believe it's been recorded. I know Scott Sanders has verified that the vacation of the plat was recorded and their documents have been recorded.
Okay, so as far as we know, everything's finished, recorded. It is a single parcel. It just doesn't show on the auditor's site. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I'm going to just take a straw poll. Is everyone ready to proceed on the application then under those bases? Okay. You have the floor, Mr. Applicant.
Okay, well, what my client, Mr. and Mrs. McGuire, were interested in is building a pool on an adjacent piece of property that they had purchased and is now combined. And in conjunction with the pool would be a pool house. And
I'm sorry.
Yes, yes, sir.
They're constructing the pool and the pool house.
And a pool house, yes.
All in one project.
Yeah, all in one process, yes, correct. And it's my understanding because of, that is a conditional use, that it allows us to be a little closer to the property line than if it wasn't. So we're showing, if I'm not mistaken, I can't see it from here, it's about 12 to 13 feet, if I remember, away from the property line. Immediately to the north is actually Hoover Reservoir. Behind the proposed pool house is a very steep, almost 15, 20-foot steep bank that goes immediately down to the reservoir. And the whole area is densely wooded with nice oak trees and so forth. So it's basically, other than the winter, you can barely even see what's going on.
Well, they've got a wall there and some trees, as I recall, too.
Pardon?
They have a wall off of Sunbury Road with some trees, and it's landscaped along there as well.
Yeah, with nice gates.
So it's
and
not
stuff.
really visible from the road.
Not from
None
the-
of it's really visible, because it seems as though it slopes down, or am I?
Well, it slopes back down to reservoir. Where his home is, where this is, it goes back uphill.
Oh, does it? Okay.
But in any event, there is a very strong evergreen hedge, and you can't see
Right.
anything as you're
And
aware.
it's fenced, and it's got a gate, as I recall, as well. Is
Yes,
that correct?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'm not thinking of the wrong property.
No,
Okay.
yeah, you
All
can't
right.
miss it. It's,
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we were on the same page here. And it looks like now your plan that you submitted for just the landscaping is, are you adding trees to the front, or are these existing, or?
those are basically existing trees, but they
Okay.
will be supplemented very densely. He's normally been buying 16 to 18 foot high evergreen trees, below the evergreen trees, we will have ornamental grasses and so forth. So it'll be obviously very nicely landscaped, and he wants that privacy.
Okay. All right. Okay. Questions for the applicant? I guess we should talk about the structure. Or is that the other gentleman?
Well,
You're like-
either one of us, I guess, but he's going to be the builder. That's
You're
Kevin
the
Knight.
builder. Okay, why don't
Yeah.
why don't you introduce yourself, sir, for the record, and describe the actual, what the proposed construction is.
Absolutely. I'm Kevin Knight, owner of Kevin Knight and Company Builder, address 70 West Olentangy Street, Powell, Ohio. It is a pool structure as described in the drawings. The main level has a wet bar, 2 bathrooms, male and female. And other than that, there's 2 little lofts for the kids. It's basically a structure as defined in the drawing that's being put on the screen above. It's the exact same detail in almost every aspect of what's on the existing house. Slate roof.
So it's going to conform to.
It's exactly.
What, I don't have an interior plan, so I'll ask a few questions. Any bedrooms?
No.
Okay. And it's a 2-story structure?
I would call it 1 story or 1.5 story.
1 story with a,
Loft
So there's no,
space.
there is an upstairs area?
It's
just not a living space?
it's a little loft area for the
loft?
for the
Got it.
daughters.
Okay, like no individual bedrooms. Susan?
So the application is for a conditional use for an accessory dwelling. So they can have living space in it. That's the whole purpose of them going this route.
Okay.
So if Mr. and Mrs. McGuire want to have people stay there and all, going through this process will allow them to do
So down the
that.
road, they can add other amenities if they don't.
But
do
now,
that.
I mean, even if,
Sure.
somebody wants to stay there, it will be considered an accessory dwelling and they would have that, to do that through this conditional use process.
Okay.
Susan, honestly, we didn't know that, so I didn't know that that's what we were also implying, honest to goodness, but, okay. I didn't know that.
I was just asking if that was
Sure,
an initial
sure.
plan, but yeah,
Right.
I was aware that that was
Wet bar,
possible. yeah.
kitchen, wet bar?
It's really a bar area. It's,
What's the approximate, here, let's save some time, because I could sit here all afternoon and read this. Approximate square footage of the footprint of the structure?
I don't know, honestly, it is,
On the application.
including the lofts, it's 1,900.
Oh, okay. What's
Without
the-
the loft, it's 15.
So it's, the footprint's 15.
Yeah, uh-huh,
Okay. And then,
1,500.
um,
He is fanatical about mechanical spaces, yes. By the way, this is not the only pool house that Kevin Knight and Company is building this minute. And it's very common to be about that size range and a full basement.
in my professional life, I'm pretty familiar with these.
You know, but honest to goodness, it's not
Oh,
a pool house that I would have, but it's.
yeah, I understand. Kitchenette or kitchen?
It's really a bar slash kitchen.
Okay.
The conversation is, will there be cooking or just bar, refrigerator?
The only reason I ask is the footprint's a little larger than I normally see, but it's not
Yeah. I got it.
crazy large. It's a little large, I mean, I.
Actually, it's smaller today than it has been.
Is that
but-
right?
Yeah, we all say, what are you gonna do there? I don't know. I'm not defending it, I'm just here to hopefully build it.
Right.
I would guess with men's and women's restrooms, there's some entertaining planned.
Yes, yeah,
Of
with the
course.
pool, yes, absolutely.
I would anticipate that, if you're gonna have 2 restrooms. And I assume there's and I would suppose they're oversized for
I-
changing rooms.
They really
and
are
things like that.
changing rooms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, that's
A
what I would
bench,
anticipate.
a sink, a toilet, a
Sure.
locker.
Mark, we're driving Susan
With
crazy.
Susan
I-
nuts.
Yeah. It's okay, we're gonna get there.
Okay.
But it's
I-
an accessory dwelling,
I
not
understand.
just an accessory building.
Yeah, I understand. Just trying to visualize what it's gonna look like.
It was just an accessory building. Would
I'd
this,
like to know
any
what
of
I'm
this be
voting
necessary?
for.
In other words, they could.
It would be, it being an accessory dwelling, accessory building, then he wouldn't be allowed to have living space in there. This way
Dwelling
he
means
could
you
have
live in it,
living
you live
space
there.
in there.
There just currently isn't, other than some sitting, okay, got it.
And it's a standard two-story height, is that correct?
I'm not sure the word standard, I would
I mean,
call, it's a story and a half,
Yeah,
and it's probably, I think that the sidewalls are 8-foot plates,
Okay.
and then the roof slopes up, whatever the pitch says, it looks like it's stronger than 12-12 from here. No, but I can't. Looks 12-12.
I dropped out of plan reading in school, that's why I have to
No,
ask these questions.
I should know the answer, and I don't. But since COVID, pool houses are what everybody's building.
Is that right?
Oh, my goodness gracious, yes. It's crazy.
Good for your business.
Yeah.
What's the- just out of curiosity, what's the size of the pool?
20 by 40.
Okay, that's
think it's
absolutely what I
20 by
normally
45.
see, so.
20 by 45?
Get bigger. But whatever.
No, it's 20 by 40.
You guys need a minute? Nah. Okay, all right. Dave, you got anything?
Correct?
I don't mean to put you on the spot. Anybody have any questions? Besides zoning doesn't permit it. That's a good question for staff, though. Just for the record. Can they, you know, you got a
I don't
multi-million
think
dollar
that
house,
would be a
but
possibility.
I was gonna say, I don't reasonably expect that that could happen, but.
You said it could or couldn't? Could or couldn't?
I don't think that will ever be their intent.
Okay.
I'm just speaking for them.
Right,
I mean,
because
any
we've
house-
had a couple of them over the last 3 or 4 years.
You do that to any house, whether you build an accessory building or
That is true,
not. So
and, yeah. Okay. I don't have anything else. I mean, it kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
Um,
Over 2 months ago. Last month, so.
All right. Okay. Let me do this. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak regarding this application? Okay. Hearing none, nobody raced up to the podium. Okay, then I guess we will go into discussion then. Yes? Paul? Yes? Yeah? Okay. We're gonna go into discussion. Don't go away. We may have some questions.
Okay.
But we're gonna go into discussion, and if we may come back to you with questions or not.
Okay.
So hang on for a minute. Are you, here's the way I look at it. First of all, it's not gonna be visible from the street. Second of all, I believe it conforms to the existing resident, because it's a high value on the water. It's nothing that if I was in that house, and I'm not the yardstick by any stretch of the imagination, I certainly would think that that's an appropriate amenity for the property. It's on, 4 acres, it's on multiple acreage now, over 4 acres.
In 4.3
I think it's conforming. Sunbury is a little road is a little non-conforming anyway, as we all know. But I don't think this is a request that is not unreasonable. Yes, good. So,
I was skimming through the questions in there. It's about the off-street parking. Do we have to worry about that? I mean, they've got plenty of space, but
what,
is there a parking,
is there
a designated parking area?
I mean,
I don't think it's a problem.
I don't think so either.
I
but
really-
I don't know if we need to worry about whether they,
Land space is just.
yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know if we need
It's
to
a
worry
long
about that. Okay.
driveway up to a large house, it's on 4 acres.
Yeah, I mean, they could park people on the grass.
You
and no
know,
one would
a
care.
20 by 45 pool is about, in my world, typical. You're not gonna invite 45 people, well, you might, but you invite 45 people over. You're gonna invite,
It'd be a bit crowded.
yeah, exactly my point. You're not gonna, I mean, and that could be true with anybody that has a pool.
Sure.
So, you know, because we've got, I know of 2 in Eagle Trace that are that size, that are regular, you know.
Yeah, no, I just was, like I
Yeah,
said,
no, that's-
just to make this go faster.
No, I understand.
There's lots of questions.
So you need to review 303 and then 17, and you're
Oh,
good to go.
I'm sorry, Susan, I couldn't hear what you're,
You
Right,
need
we have to go through the 303
the-
sections.
For your discussion.
let's see.
Right, so that's what I mean. I was
I'm not
skimming to
there.
see if there's anything we haven't asked the applicant that is going to be in these
Right,
questions.
well,
so-
that's, yeah.
And the only one I
Oh,
saw was the
you
parking.
want to go through section 303, okay. I think we pretty well covered it, did we not?
Right.
You know, I apologize to everybody in the room. Ladies, I can hear you all the way up here. And if you don't mind, if you want to discuss something.
Over here, too.
Please, outside or not. And I apologize. I don't mean to embarrass you, but I can hear you as well as I can hear them. So I apologize.
Over here, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, it's the room, trust me.
Conditional use permit, or, so you need to go through 303.
Right.
And then the standards.
Not Duncan versus Middlefield.
No.
Correct.
Not
And
for
then-
conditional use.
Okay.
Then they have to meet all the conditions in the 1703, 1713.
Well, and I think we covered a lot of this.
Yeah,
You
other
know.
than just needing to read them.
Yeah,
out.
do you want to do that?
I will do
since you're
that.
there? Thank
All
you.
right.
All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Ready when you are.
Okay, section 604.05 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution permits accessory dwellings as a conditional use in the rural residential zoning district in accordance with section 1713. Section 303 of said resolution states that conditional uses may be permitted provided that such uses shall be found to comply with the following requirements and all other applicable requirements as set forth in this resolution. The board reviewed the application based on the requirements listed as follows. So, section 303, 303.01, the use is so designed, located, and proposed to be operated so that the public health, safety, welfare, and convenience will be protected, and that is a yes. Just based on its location on the property, the screening. Is that good?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, because.
Gonna keep going.
The applicant testified that they're going to add additional landscaping, don't forget.
Right.
Right.
So, and the plan
Yeah, that was,
shows it.
that was my, yeah,
So,
that was what I
yeah.
was implying,
Yep.
and its location with nothing to the north of them.
Right,
The use will not result in the destruction, loss, or damage of natural, scenic, or historic features of major importance. Yes, and it's going to fit in with the property as it is, and there's no features of major importance there.
well, and I think it's important to note that, I think it's
I mean, it's going to protect the,
2/3 of the property is bordered by Hoover Reservoir.
right, and they're staying away from the part that's sloping down.
Right, and I don't think they're particularly close. As I recall, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, the house is on one, there's a driveway that's kind of to the south side, and then the neighboring house is on
Further south.
the further south, yeah. And it's buffered fairly well, as I recall.
there's actually a 6-foot-high stone wall and a large evergreen screen.
Okay,
That's a good buffer.
Yes.
okay. And I think that house is actually a little below, lower grade, is it
It
not?
is,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I thought. Okay.
Okay, 303.03, the use will be designed, constructed, and operated and maintained so that it shall not cause substantial injury to the value of the property in the area or neighborhood where it is to be located. That's yes, just, it's going to fit on the existing property, they don't have to move anything around, and there's nothing to the north. 303.04, the use shall be compatible with adjoining development and the proposed character of the zoning district where it is to be located. That's yes, these are large properties with very nice large homes.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. 303.05, the use will be served adequately by essential public facilities and services such as highways, streets, police and fire protection, drainage
We didn't hear from
structures.
Police or fire on this, did we?
Police, fire, and road maintenance have all reviewed the
they-
application, and none of them have any concerns.
All right, that's what I thought.
Refuse disposal, water and
Oh, there you go.
sewers and schools, and that the persons or agencies responsible for the establishment of the proposed use shall be able to provide any such services adequately. Yeah, I assume it's on, is this on sewer or septic?
Septic.
Septic.
Septic?
So I
It's not
assume there's
unusual.
capacity, yeah, I think
Yeah.
we can
Delco
assume.
water and septic, am I right?
Yeah.
That's very typical.
303.06, the use will not create excessive additional requirements at public cost for public facilities and services, will not be detrimental to the economic welfare of the community. Public facilities and services include, but are not limited to, fire and police, other emergency services, roadways, intersections, and that kind of goes along with 05, where they've said there were no comments or issues. This is remaining on their property. 303.07, adequate landscaping and screening are provided as required under Article 20. Yes, as shown on the plan. 303.08, adequate off-street parking is provided and ingress and egress is so designed as to cause minimal interference with traffic on abutting streets. And that's yes, because there's ample room on the property.
Yeah,
And
I
there's,
don't think that's a
Yeah,
particular
it-
issue in this case.
right, so there's the one driveway and then, looks like, is this a road that goes around?
No, I think that's the property line.
Oh, that's what that is, okay. For some reason, I thought that was just a little driveway.
No, the
Okay.
driveway is,
The driveway's here.
that.
Yeah.
It's a walking path.
Oh, there
okay.
you mean. Oh, I
Okay.
see.
Along the front street and walk around.
Was there a cutout for a driveway for the other property?
There was,
Ever?
there is. It'll
Okay.
be removed.
Okay, yeah. Okay, 30309, the use conforms to all applicable regulations governing the district in which it is located. And yes, it's in rural residential. 303.10, the use is compatible with the standards, objectives, and policies of Genoa Township Comprehensive Plan as amended and any revisions thereof. But
I think it is.
yeah,
I do, it's essentially a residential use that's being, an amenity's been added. I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary. They're not running a business, they're not running an Airbnb, they're building a pool house, so.
right, with the building convenient to the pool, because
Sure.
it's not attached to the house directly. Yeah. All right, last one. 303.11, the use shall not involve uses, activities, processes, materials, equipment, and conditions of operation that will be detrimental to any person's property or the general welfare by reason of excessive production of traffic, noise, smoke, fumes, glare, odors, or vibrations. That's yes, it's a pool house.
As long as they don't over-chlorine, they're probably good.
Yeah. Okay. The following sections of the Genoa Township zoning resolution contain specific conditional use standards applicable to this request, section 1713, accessory dwellings. The board reviewed the application based on the requirements listed as follows. Section 1713.01, accessory dwellings shall only be permitted in zoning districts in which they have been expressly authorized within the resolution. That is true, they are allowed in rural residentials.
Yes,
604.05.
thank you.
Section 1713.02, accessory dwellings shall only be established on lots that are 1 acre or greater in size, and this is, it's
Now we're there now.
it's over 4 acres now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Section 1713.03, the number of accessory buildings containing an accessory dwelling shall be limited to 1 per lot, and that is true. This is the only accessory building, right? This is the only accessory building on,
This is the only exit, yes.
it will be.
Yes,
once it's
it
built,
will be
yeah.
the only accessory building, yes.
Section 1713.04, only 1 accessory dwelling shall be permitted within an accessory building.
Okay,
Okay, yeah.
pardon?
The switching from dwelling to building.
Well, I
We
think
now know
that
we now know
provides
the
for,
definition.
I think that provides for not having like a two-family dwelling as opposed to a one-family
Yeah,
dwelling.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And actually, currently, there's no dwelling in there.
Right.
But, Section 1713.06, the floor area of an accessory dwelling shall not exceed the floor area of the principal dwelling it is accessory to. That is true, because it's 1,500
Yeah.
square feet for the
Right.
floor area.
Yeah, the applicant testified it's
Yep.
about 1,500
And I'm sure the
square
house is
feet.
larger.
And I think I read it was 5,000 feet.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I think that you're well within limits.
yeah.
All right.
We should be fine. Okay, do you want to anybody want to make a motion on that, on the application?
I can just keep going, make the motion.
Might as well, you're
Yep.
there.
I move to incorporate exhibits A through D, as well as the board's findings pertaining to the review of section 303 and section 1713 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution into evidence, and to approve the subject conditional use request in accordance with section 303 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution for BZA 2022-04, application received July 1st, 2022, to allow for an accessory dwelling on property at 5701 Sunbury Road, Westerville, Ohio 43082, zoned rural residential based on the aforementioned findings. It complies with all requirements of section 303, complies with all the requirements of section 1713, and I don't believe we have any others. No other conditions.
No.
Nope.
There's no additional conditions
Okay.
for the conditional use.
This motion only authorizes the issuance of a conditional use permit. Such approval is subject to the following: all required permits, zoning or otherwise be obtained. And pursuant to section 305 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution, the conditional use permit shall expire if for any reason the conditional use shall cease more than 6 months or is not begun within 12 months of the date of this approval motion.
Are you guys going to be able to start work this year, do you think?
Yes.
Okay, good,
I say, because, yeah, the other ones, we usually have it can be renewed.
right.
Can that,
But
can
if
these
you're,
be
yeah, if you're ready to
renewed?
go, then, good.
Well, Delaware County Building Department, yes.
Well, I can't, yeah, can't help you there.
All right.
I'll second the motion.
Did we get there? I guess we did.
Unless,
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we
Okay, so
can or should put in that it can be renewed or given.
do we need to do that, Susan, that it can be renewed if they aren't able to start construction? Or does it matter whether or not
I
they
think
start
the
construction?
zoning resolution in some instances gives Director Joe Schaefer the ability to give extensions.
Okay.
Okay.
As long as they're able to do that, because I don't want them to have to come back and request an extension, because there's,
Weird things happen, yeah.
and I realize the state of the building industry right now, you guys are busier than busy.
Pretty sure they're probably ready to go.
Think so? The tractors
Okay.
are on site, ready to plow in the morning?
We need you to go to Delaware County.
You don't want me up there, trust me. Okay, and we have a motion, we have a second. Discussion? Paul, anything? I'm good. Teresa, Dave, Dorothy? We ready to call a vote? All right. Mr. Boone? Ms. Driscoll? Mr. Hanson?
Yes.
Ms. Yu?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, and the motion is carried.
Thank you
So,
very
there you
much.
go. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you for your patience, yes.
Yeah, it worked out for you. I'm very sorry that it took this long.
Do you have anything else?
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, and thank you, Jim. And that concludes the meeting at 7:34, or the hearing at 7:34.
Yes.
Okay, next case. Oh, shoot, I think I just.
Okay.
Give me 1 minute here. Oh, you know what happened? Things are going along just
Found the wrong
fine.
ones. That's the wrong one.
Nope, that's not it. Okay. I feel like I'm missing a page here.
What do you mean you're missing a page?
For the next case,
6.
Oh,
Page 6?
shoot, I thought we were doing the
Oh.
patio.
Case 6.
Oh, they're the next one, okay.
Yeah, I thought we were doing the
Oh,
patio
okay.
next.
I thought the next one was the other
Yep.
one, so
Okay.
I apologize, that's me.
Okay.
Okay,
Got you. Got it right here.
okay, that's all I got. You can use my recycle
it.
stack if you want.
Yeah, I was out of order as well.
Partners, no.
Right. To the
Well, the
picture.
one on Chanticleer Court, right?
Okay, picture.
No. We're on the one for the retention pond.
Yes, yes. Big Walnut Partners, storm retention ponds.
Boy, I don't know, apparently, 12 years in, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Okay, all right, are we ready to go? Guys, good? Everybody? Okay, oh, gosh, you don't look
Hey.
like Paul Hansen.
We had no.
Okay, we have
Changed
Mark,
faces.
we have Mark Phillips, who is our board member, regular board member, who now will be joining us for the next case. So,
Two cases.
next two cases, excuse me. Okay, we'll open the hearing on the second case at 7:37, and I will read the application into the record. 4980 Big Walnut Partners LLC requesting approval of an area variance to allow a storm retention pond setback of 0 feet for a proposed subdivision to be known as Mulberry Estates at 4980 South Old C3 Highway, Westerville, Ohio, 43082, that's currently zoned rural residential, and this is BZA case 2022-06. Those that wish to, the applicant and any members of the public that wish to be heard on this matter, please stand and raise your right hand. Anybody? We don't charge extra. Come on, let's go. I don't want to have to swear you in when you come up to the podium, so. All right, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, be seated, thank you, and we'll hear from, oh, excuse me, hold on. The legal notice for this hearing was printed and published on September 14th, 2022 in the Delaware Gazette and posted at the Genoa Township Hall on September 9th, 2022. An attempt to mail notice of this hearing to property owners contiguous to and across the street from the subject property was made. The following are marked as Exhibit A through D, which includes the legal notice, sign-in sheet, application, and staff report. And we will begin with staff.
Thank you, Mark. So the property address is 4980 South Old 3C Highway. It's zoned rural residential, and it's approximately 15.5 acre parcel. The applicants are in the process of having a 6-lot subdivision platted on that property. They have gone through sketch plan submittal process with Delaware County Regional Planning. They have submitted preliminary plans to create that 6-acre rural residential subdivision. And the members of the Delaware County Tech Review Committee reviewed that on August 16th of this year. And then on August 25th, Delaware County Regional Planning Commission met, and they recommended conditional approval of that subdivision subject to staff comments, and those were that any required zoning variances must be approved by Genoa Township prior to the approval of the final plat, and that the right-of-way must be dedicated along Big Walnut Road and South Old 3C Highway as requested by the Delaware County Engineers Office. And the dedication of the right-of-way must be identified on the final plat prior to final plat approval. So since the retention pond for this subdivision is crossing it crosses 2 lot lines. The Genoa Township zoning resolution says that a water impoundment must be at least 10 feet from a side property line, and since this one's proposed to cross 2 property lines, that's why we're here, only for that variance. Everything else will be handled through, at the county level, the subdivision, and our office, Mr. Schaefer will sign off for the zoning aspect, and then everything else will be handled at the county level. And we did send the application to police, fire, and maintenance, and no one had any questions or concerns. We did place notification signs on the property, and we did send notifications to the adjacent property owners.
Okay. Let's hear from the applicant. Introduce yourself, please.
I was gonna sit down at the table. Hopefully this will stay.
Okay. Introduce yourself, please, sir.
My name is Adam Young with CEC Civil and Environmental Consultants. I'm representing Big Walnut Partners, also known as Mulberry Builders. They build custom homes. And I guess there's not much to add on top of what we've already heard, except for the developer, he wishes to leave the site as natural as possible. He really likes the feel that's currently here, the rural atmosphere. The only reason we are adding a stormwater pond is due to the road improvements. We're required to do stormwater best management practice. If we could, we would, we kind of look at it as it's a grass, there were gonna be large grass yards, where currently it's just a kind of a open agriculture field. That's a pretty, we're trying to leave it as natural as possible. We're not trying to increase density or reduce the perimeter setbacks. This is only an internal lot setback.
Okay. Do you want to show us do you have a graphic?
It's the same thing on the board, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't sure how this meeting would be set up, so I brought the poster board in.
Oh, okay.
But it's helpful, I guess, if people want to look from back here.
Shoe line, a boot sort of look. The boot.
Okay. All right, you know what? Let's get this out of the way. Let's hear from members of the public. Anybody that wishes to speak regarding the application?
Do you want me to go sit
Podium,
back down?
name and address, please.
Gregory Arnett, 4960 South Old 3C Highway. And my house and property border the future development. And we didn't understand exactly what this meeting would entail. We were under the impression that it was going to be a discussion about the retention pond, and we had questions about its construction, whether it was going to be a pond that held water 365, through the year, and how it would be maintained. And if that pond, if the purpose is, since it's such a wet area, if that's to drain the area, and how that water will be controlled from running off onto other properties.
Well, you know what? I'm going to let the builder address that. So, go ahead.
It will be a wet pond. We're gonna utilize the wet pond feature to make it more aesthetic. He's the developer. I'm not good at landscaping plans, so I didn't attempt anything, but we do plan to do some good decorating, landscaping, ornamental grasses, that type of stuff. And we will, we're in the discussion with the county engineers on that bike path. if we add more meandering curves to it, if we leave it where it is. But we do plan to make it nicer than what you currently see. It will be designed with the county standard, obviously the high water elevation with the 100-year storm. The county requires an additional foot above that. So even with the 100-year storm, the pond should hold, it won't impact the neighbors.
Will that eliminate then the tremendous runoff when we have the really heavy rains that washes through the neighbors' yards? Will that rectify that situation? Or?
So the site currently kind of drains, half of these properties will go towards Big Walnut Road, the other half go to the old highway. The part that comes to Big Walnut, we're trying to leave that as native as possible. They have determined that there is a little bit of a wetlands on the property line. That might be what you're talking about with the water issues. We actually can't impact the wetlands without getting special permits. So we're planning just to leave that all native, natural as can be. The drainage to Old Highway will actually get better. We'll add some swells, we'll add an outlet control structure that'll release the water at county requirements.
Okay. And then how far off the bike path will the actual pond be?
That part's still up in the air because we might add a couple of meandering curves. But it was brought to my attention that I do have currently some of the pond, I think they've even circled it, is about 74 feet from the road. We're not asking for any waivers on the perimeter of the property, so I will push that to be 75, I think, from the right-of-way is what I'm required to do there. So I guess if I was to answer your question with a good estimate, I'd say about 50 feet.
Okay. Will there be access off the bike path to walk around that or for the public? Or?
No, because these are private lots. I mean, essentially the other side of the pond will be someone's backyard. But we do plan to leave it open, so as you drive down the highway, you can see the landscaping.
Be mowed, maintained?
Oh, yeah, the HOA will maintain it all.
Okay, there will be an HOA.
Mhm.
Okay, and then, Jack, do you want to ask the question about? Yeah, are you going to have?
Yeah, they'll have a fountain to keep the water quality up. The developer wants this to be an aesthetic, something appealing to people, not just a drainage item in a corner. Yeah, he'll do the aeration for that.
Okay. I'm good.
You good?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
Sir,
you.
if you wanted, did you get sworn in? Oh, come on up, you gotta come to the podium because we're recorded video and audio. And were you sworn in or do I need to swear you in? Okay, come on up to the podium, introduce yourself, and then let's hear what you have to say, sir.
A couple questions.
Oh, name and address, please. Name and address.
Armin Trout, 4967 South Old 3C Highway, right across from the lake.
And if you would address the board, and then if appropriate, we'll have you have the builder answer.
Okay.
So,
Had a couple questions. One, wondered about the drainage, and I think Ms. Darch told me that the county engineers have to handle that. When will this lake start? When will the drainage of the lake start? What's the time frame? A year from now? 3 months? I guess that's what I'm asking.
I think that depends on approvals, and then the county approvals, and then the course of construction. But go ahead, Adam, if you want to go ahead.
I mean, ideally, the developer would like to break ground and get the road construction started today, which would include the pond for the temporary skimming, water quality. But it really depends on the review process and approval process. We are in the middle of preliminary engineering reviews. They've given us the okay, they like 90% of it. We're still in discussions. Obviously the bike trail I kind of brought up is something they're kind of deciding if they want us to redo that or just leave it as existing as possible on the old highway.
Okay. And the second question, I'm sorry, maybe I missed this, but there will have to be the same as McNamara Park. There will have to some sort of drainage system out of this, won't there? Out of the lake. And that's what involves us, because then you get into the water running across the road, possibly into either my property or the property next to us. And
Go ahead.
We are anticipating that, and we are considering all the neighbors downstream. The county, we're gonna have a control outlet structure. So at a 10-year, 5-year rainstorm, it's gonna release, let's just say 10 CFS. At the higher storms, the pond will collect water, but it will still release at that low 10 CFS rate. So the county actually, I think, holds us back to the 10-year. So even if you're getting a heavy storm, the storm pond may rise, but what it outlets will always be equivalent to a 10 or 5-year storm. And we do that with orifice plates, and we have, basically it's a concrete cylinder that has windows at different elevations. And as the water elevates, it will go through those windows, but we control the flow with an orifice. So your property will only see the historic flows, if not less, because we're required to hold it back even further than a natural storm. So if anything, the flows across the street should be better. We've sized, there's an existing 18-inch, I think it's a clay culvert that goes across the highway right now, and that's in our model. So we're making sure we're not impacting that negatively.
So you'll have to put another one across the
No,
highway.
we're gonna size our outlet structure to utilize what's already
You can utilize, which is north of the road.
there. It'll be, I think it crosses basically directly east, even though the road's at a diagonal.
Yeah, it's on a diagonal. It's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, because there's kind of,
So any of the residencies downstream, the drainage ultimately should get better. Because right now, you could have a 100-year storm and it comes all the way into your property. With our outlet control structure, it'll be held back to a 10-year event.
okay, well, I guess at this point, that since I don't really have details other than what you're saying. That's about all the questions I guess I have.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir. Anybody else? Anybody?
I did not.
All right, come on up, and I'll swear you in, and then,
Thank you. You can sit down there.
yeah, I was gonna say, if you need to sit, be my guest. You're good? Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you
Yes, I
God?
do.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Barbara Murto at 4999 South Old 3C Highway, Westerville, Ohio, 43082. I
Thank you.
apologize because I haven't been able to hear 90% of what you all are talking about.
Okay.
Because I live directly across the street from this pond, are they going to close that culvert that's there under the road that drains the property over there onto my side of the road?
Currently, no, we're gonna utilize that pond, or that culvert, and we're gonna size our outlet structure.
That's
Excuse me.
not going to be removed?
No, not unless the county engineers wanna upsize it or change it.
And is there going to be aeration in that pond that,
Yes, we will aerate the pond with a fountain.
I don't know why they didn't put it in there where the road is. It would have been great because everybody would have been involved in it. But anyway, I have one question, and forgive me, I don't mean to insult anyone.
You're absolutely
However, for 30 years, we've been told that you can't build on that piece of land because the water table is too high and it won't perk. And my only question is, who got paid off? That sounds nasty, and I don't mean to insult anybody.
well.
But if at some point after 30 years, all of a sudden you can build there, what's changed?
That's way beyond what we do.
That's right. I'm sorry,
I say that's way beyond what we do. The only thing that we're asked to do is not vote on the total project. The only thing that we're voting on is whether or not we allow this retention pond that goes along with the map, whether or not to allow it to be on 2 parcels as opposed to be on a single parcel. That's really the only issue that we vote on. As
and you
far
mean
as-
all this is just to make sure that it's not on one parcel, but Two?
Correct.
Yeah.
The actual zoning application is a whole nother process. And that's the zoning commission, that's not us. We have to allow, no,
It's
okay.
not a rezoning. It will not go to the zoning
Okay.
commission. It's all Delaware County Regional
All
Plan.
right, so
Right,
it's
up to
Delaware
county.
County. So,
That's all I had. Thank you.
anyone else? All right. Okay, I know we had one.
I'll say a couple words, if that's all right. I'm Pat Green.
All right, Pat Green. Were you sworn in? I don't think you were.
Stand up.
Oh, did you? Okay, then you get to talk.
I was late as usual, but I stood up.
All right.
All right, and my address is 7381 Big Walnut Road. We are one of the 4 houses you see here to the west of their street coming out. And I will say, this is the first information, was our notice for this meeting that we have had on that parcel. We had, and we have lived there for over 50 years.
And I think it's because you have not, because it does not require rezoning as staff just indicated. It's a process through the county, not through the township.
So the original applicants just had to go through the county, and the county
Correct.
approved this
Yes,
building.
you are correct.
And they've approved everything up until this pond
Correct.
issue.
Correct, yeah, but for the pond, you never would have seen this project. It would have just been through the county.
I
That's
see.
to meet zoning, rural residential zoning, and they've received preliminary approval through the county. Correct.
And I was chewing on this poor man's ear, of course, the whole time I was sitting
Looks
there.
like he's okay. I think he survived okay.
That offhand, living on Big Walnut Road for the last 50 years, we are not happy to see the street come out on Big Walnut Road, which is so busy that gets lined up clear past our house, which is probably a quarter mile away from the stop sign right out here.
I understand.
And-
I drive it very regularly.
And of course, the wet issue that you seem to be talking about tonight, being right behind our house, that over the years and since the creation of McNamara Park back here, which was built up quite a bit when the park was being created,
We're aware.
that we have nothing but water in the field right behind us and into our properties now. And needless to say, you should be aware of all the water problem on this side, on the south side of Big Walnut Road, right across the street here, and way on back. And in fact, this property here, I'm sure, is involved in as much as the homeowners right to the east of you are involved. And it's my understanding that other than hoping the water drains, no other action being taken to drain that field and to keep it drained.
I personally, and I'm not an engineer, I don't do what he does, I don't do what she does, but from the homeowners, I'm a resident just like you are. My understanding is that when they build this development, they cannot allow any more water to go on other adjoining pieces of property, and the county regulates that completely, not the township.
It's the county.
Uh-huh. And we were contacted quite some time ago about the water issue in this whole area, and that the county would be looking into it. We signed petitions and all types of things and haven't heard a word since. I don't believe any of the homeowners have heard anything since, probably much more than a year ago, on what the county expects to do or have us do
Sure.
regarding the wetness in these properties.
I understand, I'm with you.
And this
Okay.
young man can't answer anything else about it either, other than what I've said.
Yeah, I haven't focused around the south side of Big Walnut, but we did look west of the old highway because that was where our outlet structure is going.
Uh-huh. And there's only going to be 6 properties?
Six lots to meet the
6
zoning,
lots,
yeah.
and you expect septic tank on each?
Septic tanks until the sewer comes through, And then there'll probably be a condition on the plating that the homes will need to connect to the public sewer.
And is there any information on sewer in the areas?
County. All county. We're the
You're
mercy
wanting
of the
me to go to
county.
Delaware? County.
I can address your question on the entrance on Big Walnut. I know there was some previous designs before I was brought onto this project, and the county had looked at both coming off of the old highway or coming off of Big Walnut. And I think there was actually 70 or 60 more feet from that intersection on Big Walnut, which would help with the site visibility. So the county did consider both options, and due to site visibility and traffic concerns, they have chosen to put it on Big Walnut. So the county, that was done before I was brought on the project, but there was some consideration on which road to put the entrance on, and it was determined Big Walnut to be better.
And that would have been a county decision.
Yeah, it was county engineer level.
Regarding site, maybe, but traffic, no way. I mean, Big Walnut is just loaded with traffic constantly, all the time. Seems to be a little more leeway on the old 3C than Big Walnut Road.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comments.
And are there additional map copies, such as you have right there? Oh, well, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right. I know we had one person contact us by email. Is that the only one, Susan?
We did have a couple phone calls.
Phone calls, okay.
And a lot of the comments that you heard tonight were what we heard on the phone calls.
Sure. See,
That one was via email, and Joe did respond to that and tried to explain that the drainage issues and such were not at our level. Those
I
are
was
all
gonna
at
say,
county
that's really
engineer's
beyond,
office.
beyond what we're doing. I'm certainly not qualified.
And township does not have engineers on staff.
Right.
County engineers is our engineering, so everything goes through the county engineer's
So
office.
let me ask one or both of you, well, probably you, Adam. What's the alternative if we say no? I don't know, tell me what that looks like. And I'm not saying that's gonna happen, I'm just wondering what that looks like.
It makes the project less feasible for the client, who's now the landowner. He did purchase the land.
Sure.
I have been in talks with Joe Schaefer a lot, just because I was concerned. I wanted to kind of get the feel for the room or for the township. Joe's a great guy. He actually, I think, does a good job in his position for what he considers, what he thinks about. He realizes that there's no code in place that would let us make a common element. So even if we wanted to put the pond in its own lot,
That was my question, that was gonna be my question.
Well, that's, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
can
kinda
you
where I
take
was-
out
where I was
house?
headed. Because
What house lot and just put it there,
good,
okay.
good, bad, or indifferent.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
understand that you guys can only do
Couldn't
what
do
you
it.
can do with the drainage.
We-
And with the drainage situation, 1 lot, 2 lots, that's really the only decision that we're making here. Not whether or not there's gonna be a retention pond, because anything that has to do with stormwater, anything that revolves around water is really way beyond what we do here in the township. It's the county.
and
It
you,
has to
you would
do-
have a pond of some sort due to the EPA regulations. You know, you could get expensive and go underground with it, but it's more common in these areas to do the above-ground wet ponds,
Sure.
just because they're more appealing and aesthetic.
Yeah, it's a normal thing here.
Question, Adam, though, with this pond, the way it sits, in the small yards on that side of those homes, could that pond not be moved onto the other side where you
Yeah,
have
I was
larger,
looking at that, too.
larger lots?
So the way the site drain, it's
Oh,
basically.
it's sloping this way?
Yeah, the road is actually kind of on the high ridge of the site. I mean, there's not really a high point, but everything west of that road drains more south. And everything on the east side of that road actually drains towards the highway. So we're trying to leave these large lots you see here on the west as natural as can be. The theory there is it's an agriculture pond or agriculture field today. We hope that it's just big grass yards for residents in the future. So the rain will react very similar to the agriculture field that's there today. The road is where the best management practices come in. And the road's actually a changing of the surface to where the runoff would increase.
So you're saying if the pond was on the other side, the pond would fill up, but the natural drainage of the land would still flow towards the road, but not to the pond because the pond would be.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to treat it and release it on that, because we need to release it on Old Highway.
So it sounds, and I can't imagine that the county would allow you to do that anyway.
It's such a flat site that the only way you could do it would be underground pipes, but then the big constraint I have is that Old Highway culvert that was brought up is only about 2 feet in the ground. Because we normally would have made this a deeper pond and confined it on one lot. But since I can only go 2 feet down before I lose my culvert, we're in this case, we're going wide. And it looks like a nice flat site, but it's actually very challenging. And we're having to bring the road up a little bit just to get it to drain out.
So essentially, and anybody in the room can correct me if anybody here or you can correct me. If we don't say, yeah, you can put it across 2 parcels.
3 parcels, right?
Or 3, yeah, it is 3. We essentially render this property, I won't use the word worthless, but worth less. It devalues the property because it makes it much less buildable, is that?
Or each property
you
has
just
their
have
own
to-
retention basin, right?
No, you
Which
just
would-
take one home away and you make a retention.
Well, no, he said that it doesn't allow for a common area.
We would have to more or less meet the 2-acre lot minimum and then just put the whole pond on that 2-acre lot.
The one lot.
There wasn't a way for us to delineate 50,000 square feet. And that's one thing Joe actually mentioned he wants to look into changing. It's just because it's such a limiting factor that you can't do, for instance,
These kinds of small developments.
well, that long stretch along the road as you come into the site, we wanted to do that as a common element that was HOA maintained.
Yeah.
But it's just not in the zoning, so Joe recommended we just include that in the lot, but we can have the CC&Rs, give the HOA control of that, or require the HOA to maintain it.
So the pond would be on these 3 properties. Are there any limitations to what the homeowners can do around the pond as far as fencing, landscaping?
We can do anything you guys suggest tonight. At this
Oh,
point,
no, I just was curious what the homeowners would be allowed to do with that pond. Like, is there a certain amount of protection that would be required?
there's a
or-
15-foot easement around the storm pond, so I would assume the county would not allow any fences within that easement.
Okay,
But we are hoping that as you drive up the highway, you can see the pond and you can kind of see into those backyards a little bit. So, I mean, there's nothing that says the homeowner can't except for that easement, I guess.
okay.
Hey, Susan, I'm looking at this plan, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that pond not sitting in the setback of Old 3C also?
He already spoke to that. He said he's going to move it up.
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
okay.
that was-
I'm
we
just
don't wanna-
wondering,
When they dedicate the right-of-way, it needs to move
Got it.
to the west, yes.
We're trying to respect all perimeter setbacks and only do the waiver on the internal proposed lot lines that we're creating.
So that's a considerable jump also, so you're gonna move it closer to the homes.
I'm hoping to kind of, where that little triangle part is, I'm hoping to kind of flare that out and swap the volume into that triangle. Because I know the homeowners or the home builders are already unhappy at those backyards being so
So you're
small.
you're gonna redesign the configuration of that pond, so to speak.
Minor, but yes, minor, yeah. We do need to pull it away from the right-of-way on the old highway.
Yeah,
But yeah, we're not asking for that waiver. We will respect all perimeter
So now is that
setbacks.
pond based on an EPA requirement based on the size of the lot? That has to be a certain gallon?
It's based on the square footage of the road and the lots, and you kind of do what they call a weighted value. Because obviously the road's going to release the water a lot quicker than a lot will. So we do consider grass, roof, road. And that pond is sized to collect an area more than a volume. I mean, the volume's tied to it, but it's the calculations are due to area and storm, I guess. But for such a simple site, it's turned into it's been quite a challenge. We kind of thought it'd be a slam dunk, and this drainage issue here has been challenging.
And here you are. Okay.
But hopefully the pond will alleviate the concerns, because it'll actually collect the water quicker than what the farm's releasing today.
Yeah,
The pond should act as a gatherer.
it's terribly sometimes. Okay.
Mr. Young, you said that you would put landscaping around there. I see in your application, you said that the future homeowners association will do that.
They would maintain it. I mean, obviously the home builder, the client will do the landscaping install, but the HOA would maintain for future years, I guess.
Okay, but the landscaping isn't shown on here. We don't have
No,
any
I-
idea of what it was.
I
what it
thought
would be.
about trying to get a couple bushes, but I wanted to also show the setbacks, the trail, I guess I didn't want to overcomplicate it by adding the trees and bushes there. But we can do a supplemental exhibit if you guys would like to see one.
I guess I'm concerned about safety. Susan, though, is that not an issue? Is it an attractive nuisance that,
The county will make us fence the easement, I believe, just for delineation, because they have a roadside clear zone. So if we're outside of that clear zone, they will just make you do a fence. If you're too close to the road, the county often will have you berm, and that's the barrier for the cars, I guess.
Hey, Adam, quick question. Where this road is coming in, the egress and ingress, can you not turn that road and push the whole development over to get this pond
Well, I guess,
back away from the road?
are you meaning turn the road or into?
Yep.
At this point, I'd have to kind of see a sketch of what you're talking about, but it's more just the drainage.
Can you not push this back and pull that pond back into compliance?
It would be limited on the lot sizes. I believe the two longer lots are almost at the minimum lot size. There is a little bit of give there, but it's not a lot. As far as if we move that road too far west, then those lots on the west will not meet the 2-acre requirement.
I got it.
We're trying to keep the 2-acre balance with all the lots.
To be 2 acres?
Yeah, I think that's the minimum for our.
Residential minimum lot size, 2 acres.
So,
But they should go to 5 lots to minimize, to get the 2 acres and have the pond size also.
They could do less lots, yes.
They can always do less.
No, I'm just trying to get some ideas.
No, I understand. I'm not questioning.
Mr. Young, I had one other question about the 10-year storm requirement. If you do have a 10-year or stronger storm in any period of time, I'm not clear what happens there. The pond will fill, and then you have some type of a device that will be triggered, and the water will flow. Did you say across the road? Will some of it flow across the road?
No, there's an existing culvert right now underneath the highway.
Right.
That's part of our model, so we've actually modeled the capacity of that to make sure we're not even going to impact, I think, 75% of its capacity. But to answer your question, the pond acts like a funnel. It'll gather the surge, but then we have an orifice pipe that actually will release the water at a controlled rate. So if it's a
Into the
50-year
culvert or someplace else? Where does that release
it
go?
will release it into the culvert.
Okay.
So it would, then at that point, it would be historical path, but it should be less flows.
Does the stormwater drain on the road today have to be modified to handle that water load or no?
No, we're gonna size our release structure to meet the capacity of what's there.
Okay.
So that existing culvert shouldn't see any impacts.
How big of a culvert is it today?
18 inches?
It's 18 inches. Just one.
Yeah, there's only one in place. There is some,
And it runs
it goes due
parallel
east.
to the road or?
No, it actually goes directly east underneath the road.
Okay.
I think to this gentleman's residence.
Have you been out there when there were storms to see? I'm concerned about the one individual who responded with an email, said that there are frequently floods, something's wrong, and it frequently backs up somehow and floods the back of the properties that are located on Big Walnut Route 3,
There should,
Old 3 and Tussock.
we're trying to leave that as natural as possible, but the addition of the grass versus the row crops will slow down some of that runoff. And then we will have a little bit coming from those houses forward to the street. So they will see less, but there is unfortunately wetlands back there. And that's kind of, it's getting more into the EPA side of things at that point, and we're trying to not impact wetlands.
Sure.
But I believe whatever has happened has created those wetlands over the last 5 or 10 years.
Makes sense?
Have you ever been down after big rain?
It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess, yeah.
Okay, well. Anybody want to go through Duncan versus Middlefield?
This one right here. Yeah, in the script. I can do it again.
Want me to go through it?
Mark can do it.
I can go through it. Unless there's any other questions.
Oh, we
No,
can always, we can always come back. No, I don't have
Yeah.
anything for the applicant.
Okay, we do this routine where we go through Duncan versus Middlefield. The board reviewed section 307.06 of the zoning resolution reflecting Duncan versus Middlefield as it pertains to the area variance requested from section 1614 to allow for a water impoundment to encroach 10 feet into a 10-foot side setback and ultimately cross side lot lines in a rural residential or R zoning district as follows. The property in question, the properties in question would yield a reasonable return, and there can be beneficial use of the property without the variance.
I disagree.
I guess it would be, cannot be beneficially used with, well, do we definitely need,
I think it's arguable either way.
yeah,
Because,
I think it could be redesigned.
true, but is that economically feasible?
Right.
Is that the highest and best use of the property then at that point? I don't know, and I think that's a discussion topic.
So I would say it would be,
I guess the real answer is yes.
To which?
Oh, wait a minute, did I answer it the wrong way? Hold on. That it would yield a reasonable return. I don't know. I don't know.
and cannot have beneficial use of property without the variance?
Well, we need to come back to that and discuss it. I'm not sure.
Right, if we go to
I
5
think
lots.
I think that's a central issue. I don't think the issue is whether or not they're gonna
Right.
build the property, the
I mean, I'm
houses.
I'm
They
going to
are.
assume that taking away 1/6 is
Right.
not beneficial.
Well, yeah, exactly, and I think that's the discussion point. And we might as well
Right.
do it right now while we're here.
Yeah, I mean, on mine, I circled would not and cannot.
Let's face it, the property's gonna get developed.
Hmm?
But for the location of this pond, we wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't have seen this. Okay? So, and if it was on one parcel, we wouldn't be seeing this. So the real central question then is it an appropriate, is placement appropriate? It's not the pond, it's not the number of houses, it's nothing else except whether or not the placement is appropriate.
Exactly.
For me. Okay, now you guys can disagree with me, it's fine, I'm only
Well,
one.
I don't feel like we need to judge the placement of it. I mean, they've decided that that's where they're going to put it.
Well,
And
it seems to be, and don't forget that even if we say yes to this, he still has to comply with whatever the county
Absolutely.
do as far as water runoff, storm drains,
I think we're
retention,
getting way out of. our
whatever. And
ballpark.
this is way beyond
Right.
what we
That's
do.
right, we shouldn't be.
I've been here 11 years, almost 12 on this board. I have never, ever seen anything like this remotely. And I am going to tell you, I'm probably the most underqualified guy in the room to tell you where to put a retention pond.
But that's not what we're about.
That's not what we do. You're 100%
Right, because if
right.
they, I mean, if they put it on the other side of their property,
Right, because,
it would still be
okay,
crossing.
you know, conceivably,
lines,
since
so-
we're already in discussion and we're here, conceivably, we say, nope, not gonna do it, gotta put it on one, gotta put it on
Yeah, we
one
think
parcel.
it stinks that you're
Right. one
covering
parcel.
property lines
Well,
with
then
it.
the county comes behind you and says, oh, well, they can't put it there.
Right.
Then where are you? So,
And I think, so,
I
and
think-
also this variance, no matter if they do put it on the other side of this property, we are allowing them to build a retention pond that crosses property lines.
again, yeah, it doesn't change the question.
Question is.
Right, the question
One
is that
parcel
okay?
or multiples?
Right,
It's really, that's really the only question.
right, no
Do
matter
you-
where they put it on
Do
here.
you agree, Mark Phillips?
Well, Mark, that, I mean, it's a tough question. I mean,
And I'm
yeah,
not saying whether or not it's, I'm not asking what the answer is. I'm just asking, I think that's the issue on the table.
yes, we would be facing that again if they chose to do that.
Right.
Yes.
Now, they could also say, we're gonna go to 5 lots and put it on one of the lots and we'll never see them again.
Exactly.
So we can't make that judgment for them about what they'll do if we decide
Right.
no. to
Precisely my point.
Right.
And that's why I say,
Ours is really a one-off.
is
yay or
we
nay.
really have to say, are we willing to let them put this pond across 3
Three
lots?
properties or not. That's all.
In
I'm
that
saying.
location, though.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Exactly. And I think that the applicant, I'm not gonna advocate for the applicant, but I think the applicant has demonstrated that this is really the only place it can go.
Exactly.
So, that's just my opinion. So,
Next.
anyway, I'm sorry, Dave.
Suppose it would,
I don't,
would not, you're right.
I have no idea.
So you're saying would or would not?
okay. I don't think the answer to the question is that, this question is that critical for the overall, because you're not gonna make a decision based on one question,
Right,
on one element of Duncan versus Middlefield. You're gonna look, I've seen over the years, we've answered
Well, it's
no
almost
to
like,
all of them, and
you
then
know,
you
I look
still
at it a
agree.
different way. It's almost like a pond based on EPA regulations and everything is needed. So it's gonna be a would, I agree with Teresa. It's gonna be a would not, cannot,
Okay,
if that's the case.
okay.
All right,
I'm
so the
not,
property.
and I'm not disagreeing with that
Okay, A.
conclusion at all, but I think it merits discussion.
The property in question would not yield a reasonable return, and there cannot be a beneficial use of the property without the variance.
Okay,
That's yes.
The variance, I want to say, based on the description, is substantial. Based on, it looks like it's,
Yes.
I would
It's
say
down to zero,
30,
so yeah.
30%.
sure.
it's 100%, it's down to zero.
Well, the part that's encroaching,
Right, it's actually, it's on the line, I mean, part of the
Going to
pond.
0.
Yeah, it's going to be on the line, so there will be absolutely no setback on 2 of those property lines.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's substantial, I mean, that's just a finding of
the
fact.
essential character of the neighborhood would not, I would say, would not be substantially altered. And the adjoining
I would
property-
agree, because the project in total, it's a residential use in a residential area. You can call it what you want, new houses, old houses, mid-century houses, residential, it's residential.
And retention ponds can be put on individual properties, and
Sure.
that's allowed if any one property owner wanted to
Sure.
build a retention pond. This one just serves multiple.
Would not be substantially altered, and adjoining properties would not suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna make that assumption based on needing to go to the engineer's office, really a good faith development.
Right.
They're not putting in a pond that's gonna just, you know,
It's hard.
make trouble for the surrounding.
I'm not sure I'm qualified to make that decision, but I think on the other hand, I think that,
I'm saying based on the
Yeah.
testimony and what we know of the process, that's,
Sure.
I'm making that
Duncan,
assumption, so.
I agree.
Duncanville was not made for a pond. You know, I mean, really, we're mixing apples with oranges here.
yeah.
The variance would not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. E, the property owner, this does not apply for this case.
Zoning
The property
restriction,
owner,
no,
I would say did purchase the property with the knowledge of the
Oh,
zoning
yeah,
Yeah,
restriction.
well, that's,
Yeah.
that was in staff.
Yeah, I think it is.
The property owner's predicament cannot be feasibly obviated through the method other than the variance.
Right.
Well, I think we've concluded it cannot.
Yes.
The spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed, and substantial justice would be done by granting a variance.
Okay.
Anybody want to make a motion?
Do you want to do it since you're there, or would
I
you
can do
like
it.
someone else?
I can do
I
it.
mean-
Dave Boone moved to incorporate exhibits
A through D.
A through D, as well as the board's findings pertaining to the review of the section 307.06 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution into evidence, and to approve the requested variance from section 1614 of Genoa Township zoning resolution for BZA 2002-06, application received September 1st. Application received September 1st, 2022, to allow for a water impoundment to encroach into and beyond the 10-foot side setback, i.e. a 0-foot setback resulting in an impoundment covering multiple lots to be created at 4980 South Old 3C Highway, Westerville, Ohio, 43082, tentatively known as Mulberry Estates, as depicted for illustrated purposes in Exhibit C, zoned rural residential RR. This motion is based on the following findings of fact pursuant to Section 307.04 of Genoa Township zoning resolution, that such variance or modification will not be contrary to the public interest because all rules and regulations will be followed by the Delaware County
They're going to be
zoning.
enforced. They're
Yeah.
going to require and enforce their own regulations. So,
That owning, number two, that owning to special conditions, a literal enforcement of the zoning resolution will result in an unnecessary hardship because if the pond is not built based on the design, it will have to be redesigned, reconstructed. Anything else?
go ahead. Well, yeah, go ahead, but I've got one
Three,
thing after.
that the approval of such variance or modifications thereof is consistent with the spirit of the zoning resolution, and substantial justice shall be done thereby because, again, without being based on the design, it would have to be reconstructed and redesigned
Right.
as necessary.
Okay, and then I'll entertain a second.
Second.
Okay, Teresa seconds. Okay, I do think it's important to note, because I think Joe Schaefer in his memo of the 26th actually sums it up pretty well as far as our position for this application. And I quote, "Zoning does not regulate, review, or inspect stormwater or drainage
Yeah.
matters. We rely on the county engineer for all that. I advise you," meaning the public or the reader, "to direct any questions or concerns regarding drainage, especially any related to roads, to the Delaware County engineer, as well as Delaware County Soil and Water Conservation."
That says it right there.
And I think that's an excellent summation. I know that, I know in my, for what it's worth, my development that I live in, we did have an issue with some minor flooding. And Delaware County addressed it, not the township, but Delaware
Exactly.
County addresses it. And again, I'm going to go back to my original statement. I think, one, if you don't do this, you render this property virtually unbuildable, unsaleable. And I don't think, I think you put the owner in really in a poor position. The development is going to come from this owner or future owners, regardless of what happens here tonight. But the end result is once these properties are platted and approved by the county to be constructed, there's going to be a pond, regardless of whether you like the location, of regardless whether you like it going across 3 lots. It is what it is.
And that's the only thing we're really supposed to be voting on.
Correct.
So that
And that's why I say the
it's
central
not- so
issue for
all this
me,
conversation-
as far as I'm concerned, is drill it down, 1 parcel
That's right.
or 3.
Exactly.
So
The only concern I have is the closeness to the road and where it's
proximity, well, I think he addressed that in his testimony, Adam, if you want to reiterate what you said about that.
We will honor all perimeter setbacks and right-of-way setbacks, so that is something we will make.
It's still with the setback, it's still pretty close to the road and, like the gentleman said, the bike trail and everything, it's pretty.
Well, and I
pretty
think
close
if
to-
you know, looking at the one at McNamara, because a couple of us were pretty involved in that retention pond down at McNamara in the day.
The park.
The hole in the, well, don't even. But it is literally right next to the path there. I don't think there's 20 feet between the hole and the path. And I know that's probably built in the easement because it was already there. But that, you know, again, is not something, it's not part of the application.
That's
And
right.
it's not what we're being asked to consider.
Okay.
Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Yes. Just
Susan
saying
looks
yes.
shell-shocked.
I know, she's in a coma over there.
Yeah,
All right.
you're right.
Okay, anything else? Any other member have any comments, questions, concerns, any other discussion? Okay, we've had a motion and a second. I'm going to call the roll. Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Ms. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
No.
Ms. Yu?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Okay, motion carries. There you go. All right, and this hearing is concluded at 8:30, sure, 3. It's been a long night already. Okay.
Thank you.
It's fine, it's up to you, sure.
Sorry.
Do you guys want to like take a 2-minute, like
I need one.
5-minute break? Let's take a 5-minute break here real quick.
Good idea.
Hey, Paul, we're going to take 5 minutes. I don't think I ever got my book this big for. You ready to go?
Ready to go.
Okay, we're ready to go. Okay, it is 8:40, and we will, I'll call to order the meeting, and we will go to our last case of the evening, once I find it. Yeah. Boy, I think I was new here. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to read the legal notice into the record, and then we'll swear everybody in, and we'll go. Hal Lorian Homewood requesting approval of an area variance to allow an addition to the principal building to encroach into the required rear setback at 6630 Chanticleer Court, Westerville, Ohio, 43082. This is lot 3403 in Harvest Wind subdivision, currently zoned planned residential district, PRD. And this is a BZA case 2022-07. Those that wish to testify in this matter, please rise and raise your right hands. Sir, are you sure? Might as well. I don't charge extra. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Great, thank you. Be seated. Let's see. The legal notice for this hearing was printed and published on September 14th, 2022 in the Delaware Gazette and posted at the Genoa Township Hall on September 9th, 2022. An attempt to mail notice of this hearing to property owners contiguous to and across the street from the subject property was also made. The following are marked exhibits A through D: the legal notice, the sign-in sheet, application, and staff report. And we will start with staff.
Thank you, Mark. So, as noted in the legal notice, this property is known as 3360 Chanticleer Court, 6630.
He said 3360.
6630, sorry, okay.
And I believe it's Chanticleer, is it not?
Chanticleer. It's a 0.25 acre property. So on June 11th, 1999, zoning permit 99410 was issued for the construction of the residence on the subject property. The zoning permit was revised on November 12th, 1999, and they added a 12-foot by 14-foot deck. According to the Delaware County Auditor's website, the subject property was purchased by the homeowner on October 2010. On August 5th, 2022, the Development and Zoning Department received an online residential application, was submitted for construction of a patio room and a pergola. On August 8th, staff received a phone call from the applicant, Classic Exteriors. During that conversation, the applicant was informed that the proposed room addition did not meet the required 30-foot rear setback. There was also some discussion to clarify whether the proposed pergola was attached or detached to the dwelling. Subsequently, the applicant submitted several revised site plans to comply with the required 30-foot setback. After review of the revised site plan submitted on August 24th, our office issued a denial letter on August the 26th. After receiving that letter, the applicant submitted, the variance application was submitted to request a reduction in that 30-foot required rear setback. We received that on September 1st. So the application did not specifically list a setback section from the zoning resolution. So Article 9, Section 909.01.b of the zoning resolution lists the requirements that the setback would be per the the final development plan. Development plan for Harvest Wind requires a 30-foot rear setback. Section 2710.05 of the zoning resolution allows for the property owner to request a variance from the final development plan without filing for a final development plan amendment. The existing deck that's on the property was permitted under zoning permit 99410, which was issued at the time the house was constructed. The existing deck does extend into the 30-foot rear setback by approximately 6.7 feet. And section 1608.02 of the zoning resolution allows for unroofed structures such as the existing deck to encroach up to 10 feet into that side yard, or excuse me, that rear setback. It does not allow for additions or structures that are attached to the house that are roof structures to encroach into that setback, and hence why we're here for this variance. It's my understanding that the proposed pergola will not be attached to the house, so that would be allowed per code and would not be part of this variance. The application was sent to police, fire, and maintenance, and no one had any comments or concerns about the applications. We did mail legal notices to the adjacent property owners on September the 14th, and the legal notice was published in the Delaware Gazette also on September 14th, and a notification sign was placed on the property on September 15th. To date, I'm not aware that we received any questions about this application.
Okay. Let's hear from the applicant. Sir, if you would, I see we have a crowd. If you guys all want to come up and grab another chair, and you guys can sit at the table here or at the podium, whichever is easiest for you. Thank you, Paul. I assume, sir, you're the homeowner? Yes. So we'll give you the good chair.
Do you want names and address?
Yes, please. If you'd introduce yourselves.
Sure. My name is Michael James with Classic Exteriors, 5900 Roche Drive, Suite 310A, Columbus, Ohio, 43229.
Okay.
Deshaun Powell, 6630 Chanticleer Court, Westerville, Ohio, 43082.
Okay.
Richard Markle, Classic Exteriors, 5900 Roche Drive, Columbus, Ohio.
Okay. So you guys are the
Builders.
Yes.
builder? You guys are both builders?
Yep.
Okay. Does one of you want to just kind of walk us through the plan for the group?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Good.
So, Mr. Powell, did you guys get copies of these books?
Yeah, the books?
Yeah, so if you go to the page that it's the existing deck that was there when the house was built.
What page is that?
We should have labeled them. We
Name
didn't label them.
pages, yeah, I apologize. Yeah, that's to them. Maybe about 6 pages in, 5 pages in. Should be the first color photo. Yep, that's it. So if you look here on the picture, so what we'd like to do is we're proposing to put a porch enclosure on top of the exact same footprint that's here now. which is 14 by 12. If you look and you could see how the bump out of the house comes out 5 feet. So we're just asking for another 6.7 feet.
So you're gonna build it in, what I call an enclosed porch,
It's an enclosed porch.
where the deck is.
Correct.
Okay, and
Correct.
then you're gonna build a pergola,
Yeah, it's a self-standing pergola, so it's not attached to the
patio,
house.
Not
It's gonna be-
attached, but on the concrete pad.
Correct.
Okay.
Actually, it's gonna straddle the concrete. It's not actually gonna be attached to the concrete. It's gonna go in the ground.
Yeah, okay, but
On
it's
the
gonna
outside,
cover
but
the
yes.
patio.
Yep, that's to the left.
existing patio.
That's to the right, and that, as far as I understand, doesn't violate any current. So the only thing that we're asking for is that extra 7 feet to put the covered porch on.
Okay. Okay, so you're gonna, so the existing deck encroaches, I heard 7 feet into the.
Rounded up,
6 feet?
7.
Okay, all right, let's call it 7 feet for discussion. And you're only going as far as the deck goes currently?
The enclosure is only gonna.
Right, yeah, we're talking about just the enclosure.
Correct.
So the enclosed porch only goes as, it's on the same footprint as the deck?
Exact same footprint.
Okay, so and because it's covered, you have to get the variance as opposed to the deck that didn't need the variance, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And so as far as I understand, the only porch enclosure that we could do without getting the variance would project out 5 feet from the back door. And so to get any type of enclosed porch,
So
he
a
would
5 by
request-
14 is really
That's
not
not
gonna
gonna
work
work,
for you.
right?
That's
So
gonna be the best bowling alley you're ever gonna see.
exactly.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay, is there any members of the public that wish to speak on the application? Sir, if you want to come to the podium and give us your name and address, please. And yeah, actually, you know what, if you want to just take him the microphone, that's fine too.
Yeah, Ted Caton, 6722 Meadow Glen. I back up to the property.
Oh, so you're his neighbor behind?
I'm right behind him, yes.
Okay, good. Okay,
So I am concerned about, he cleared up that is not going to be a fixed structure on the concrete pad. And the new deck going in will be a hard cover over the top, but that's going to project out farther than the existing one right now, which will be steps going down to the concrete pad. Now, it's just a total of, from the house to my property is 42 feet. And there's a 30-foot easement between our properties, 15 foot on mine and 15 foot on his, of utility easements. So there's just not that much property in there.
okay.
And like I say, it's just 42 feet to my bedroom window.
Okay, one of you guys, go ahead.
So my understanding is 30 feet from his house to the property line.
Right.
Is that not correct? That's what the,
The easement is 15 foot on each property, but 42 feet from my house to the property line is also about 42 feet from the house, his house, to the property line.
so, but if you're saying it's 42 feet from your house to,
The property line. And then it's also
I got you.
the same 42 feet from his house back to the property line. So it's a total of 84 feet
Okay.
between us. But then we got right down the center, 15-foot utility easement on each property. So,
The easement that he's referring to is basically.
Oh, sir, you want to come up to the mic so we can hear you?
I'm assuming the easement that he's referring to is that there's a 15-foot on each side portion for utilities to be able
I
to
think
run
everybody
utilities.
does that. I mean, I have
Yeah.
it.
So, yeah,
You can still do stuff in there, you just
yeah.
can't put a structure in
Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
going
there. Yeah,
into the
no,
15
no,
feet.
no,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, you're not going any farther than what's
My
already.
understanding is
jutting
you're
out.
not going beyond the width of the deck, the existing deck, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
From the
I
house.
understand Ted's concerns. I'm sure he's one of the original homeowners and he fought to get that.
yeah,
that
we
30
fought for that back set on there at 30 feet. I mean, we wanted more at the time, and they wouldn't let us. They said, no, it can't be, only 30 feet. That was, 20 years ago.
Sure.
Where's your
But-
7 feet come into this? The 7
So,
feet there
yeah,
is?
so if you look at the picture and you see how the deck is right now, the deck projects out 12 feet.
Okay,
That's all further going towards.
You see where the bump out is? That bump out, from that bump out to the property line is 30 feet. So if you add an additional 7 feet, that would
I
be the
got
edge of
you.
the deck.
I got you.
So we're not asking for anything more than the footprint of
Exactly.
the deck is already
That
there.
makes sense. Now that you show that.
You want to show that to the,
Yeah.
to the homeowner, so he understands what
Big
you're doing?
difference. Yeah.
So currently now, at the edge of his house is 30 feet to the property line,
Okay.
okay? So for him to have any porch enclosure whatsoever, without a variance, he would have to have a porch enclosure that was only 5 feet deep.
covered structure,
Yeah.
And so
be in the
that wouldn't make sense, it wouldn't be
he's
feasible to do that. So even if he asked for
the
a 10-foot one, he'd still have to get a variance, even if it's 6 foot, he'd have to get a variance, because it would encroach.
And then I'm concerned about the roof you're gonna tie on to this, right here. See, they fought me, they told me I couldn't have a roof over my concrete.
I'd be more than happy to come to this board with you
Well,
and get yours approved.
I'm 85 years old, I don't have to worry about nothing now.
So, yeah, it's gonna attach under the soffit here, the hard roof is gonna attach
Okay.
under the soffit. And that roof is only gonna come out as far as this 14 feet. I mean,
And
maybe
14.
6 inches out past,
Yeah.
so maybe the roof might come out.
But it is gonna proceed past the old deck.
By maybe 6 inches overhang, because you wanna make sure, no, so that it's gonna come out, the roof is gonna come even with the edge of the deck.
This deck?
Correct. This deck is gonna would be removed.
Moved.
We would be reframing, same exact footprint, and we just put a porch enclosure on top of that deck with a roof, with the same footprint. That's where we're asking for the 7 feet, because he's already got 5 here, so if he wanted to just
Yeah.
build a 5-foot one, we wouldn't even have to be at this meeting.
Right.
But we're asking for another 6.7 feet to come out to the edge here, so we can bring the whole enclosure out this way. The pergola is gonna be on this side, but see how the house then jets back again that way, so we're still gonna be even with the new proposed. Nothing's gonna, the room or the pergola is not gonna extend anywhere past.
And
But now,
And yes, we know that we have to ask for it, and that's
Yeah.
what the request is.
Does he understand it?
well, I understood before, I just got this today. And I understood there's gonna be another structure, a freestanding.
Correct, the
Oh,
pergola on the side, but this is on the side.
Yeah.
it would be something
Yeah,
like this.
it's gonna look like
The
just
water
like
will
that.
mitigate naturally.
But it's important to note, though, you could do the pergola without the variance.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So
And I think-
regardless of what we decide on the enclosed porch, the pergola can still be constructed.
Exactly.
And we
It
could-
is a separate structure.
We could
I think his main
essentially-
concern was water
we could
mitigation.
rebuild the entire deck, put a pergola
I
on this
understand.
deck, put a
I
pergola on
think
the
it's
side, we
important
wouldn't have to come
if
for
we
the
can
variance. The only reason we're here
Get
for
out
the
of the way
variance
with
is
the
because
homeowner.
we'd
try
like to
and-
put walls in a.
Try and make sure
roof
he understands
Yep.
for
over the
everybody's.
enclosure. And it's gonna look fabulous, it's gonna look fantastic.
Yeah, well,
I've been
It's
doing
gonna
this
look a lot
for quite a
better than
I'm
that.
sure
while,
it's
and I
probably
don't
will, but
mind
I'm
making
concerned
sure he
about
understands.
filling up the
I want my
space
neighbor to be
between,
happy to.
up this
So I
little
just
corner
want to
we
make
got
sure he's
behind
fully
these
read in
houses.
on what's happening.
But
So
there's
it's not
no
an extreme.
additional space that's gonna go.
well, if it
We're
don't
not gonna go all
project
night,
past
but we're
this,
No, we can't. Come on.
and you say it from the house, and how far is it coming out?
12 feet.
12 feet.
Right, and we got 5 feet right here.
5
where-
feet.
Where the house is, so we're
Yeah.
looking for another 6.77 feet to come out to here.
Yeah.
It'll look a lot prettier than what's there too.
Well,
All right, are we good, gentlemen? Are we good?
Do you understand?
I understand, but
Well, thank you.
And do you have any other comments?
I guess not.
Okay, then thank you for your comments, and have a seat, sir. Thank you. Mr. Powell, okay, have you submitted, are you required to submit your plan to the HOA? The homeowners
Based
association?
on what I contacted them, they said we don't need any plans.
They don't have to approve it or anything? Some do, some don't. I didn't
Right.
know.
And that was the first thing I had to do was reach out to the HOA, let them know that I'm looking at putting on a 3-season room. Is there anything that I need to know from your bylaws or whatever that we need
Okay.
to abide
It's
by?
okay
They said,
with
nope.
They don't regulate that whatsoever then?
Right. They
Okay,
said
so
if I
just-
was doing a 4-season room, then that's where it would come into play.
That's
Okay,
right.
so you're doing 3?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Essentially a porch enclosure with
It's
removable
not heated
single
or cooled
glass.
or
Yeah.
anything, it's just separated by, the glass. And then you're not gonna use it when it's 30 degrees out, because it's not heated.
I don't think I'll want to.
I got you.
Excuse me. Okay, anybody else have any questions? Mark? Teresa? Dave? Okay, does somebody want to, run through Duncan versus Middlefield?
I'll take it.
I'm not trying to rush it, but I think we're there.
No, I did one already. I did do the conditional use.
Oh, okay.
It's
Well,
much
I'll
longer.
be happy to do this one.
Don't, now, kids, don't fight over it.
The board reviewed section 307.06 of the zoning resolution reflecting Duncan versus Middlefield as it pertains to the area variance requested from the section 909.01B to allow for a principal building to encroach 10 feet into a 30-foot rear setback in a planned residential zoning district as follows. A, the property in question would yield a reasonable return, and there cannot be beneficial use of the property without the variance.
I don't agree.
I'm doing this.
You
not
can move on. Yeah, okay.
My reasoning is that there would be a reasonable return, but only if the beneficial, or if the variance is granted to put the sunroom and the pergola in. That results in the reasonable return.
Okay,
Other comments? I don't want to
I have no comment.
keep it that way. The variance is substantial. It's 10 feet into a 30-foot setback, which is 33%. 33%.
We're just going with 10 instead of the 7 that exists,
I
right?
thought we were
Yeah,
only doing
'cause
7.6.
It's 6.7 exactly, I think it was, right?
Rounded up to 7.
It just,
thought
the application was
somebody
10,
said
right,
I
this
think
says 10.
I think the original deck, they must have written it in that it had a 10-foot.
Oh, I think it's,
gotcha.
I think
Okay.
you could go, you could
We
encroach
were
10 feet on
requesting
the deck.
a 20-foot
Because it's
rear
uncovered.
setback.
You want to do it
Which
as,
is a
And then
10-foot
it's-
encroachment.
And then it says we only need an additional 7 feet.
So
So
do you
they
want-
need to clarify what they want.
Okay,
okay, do you want us to give you 10, or do you want just the 7?
We only need the 7.
7? Okay, you,
For the enclosure. Right.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
not doing anything with the pergola.
We'll
'cause
get
we
you
don't
out
need
to 12,
Okay.
right? 'Cause
Yeah,
you-
that's what
you
we
had
want,
5
12 by
over.
14.
You just need 7 feet from us.
All right.
Then it's 7 feet, Mark.
Okay.
God,
The
I love
encroachment
engineer.
request is for 7 feet into the setback area. And then coming down to B, the variance is 23.5%. For purposes of discussion, I'll still call that substantial.
I would agree.
C, the essential character of the neighborhood would not be substantially altered, and the adjoining properties would not suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance. Again, we're talking about 7 feet. You're going to improve the property with both a pergola, which is not part of the variance request, and the sunroom. Comments?
Are there other, just out of curiosity, are there other enclosed porches in Harvest Wind?
Yeah, my neighbor, actually.
Oh, do they? Oh, okay, well, there you go. Because I was gonna say,
Theirs was actually built onto the structure, so it has the actual natural roof.
oh, I see.
So, yeah, right there where you have.
And it's
the
heated
house.
and cooled like the remainder of the house? Okay, yeah, for my world, that's considered part of the
Yeah,
house.
he's got the mouse hovering over it right now.
Okay. All right.
The variance would not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. Correct, Susan? We have not heard any comment from police, fire.
Correct, they did not have any concerns.
Okay, good, thank you. The property owner did purchase the property with knowledge of the zoning restriction. Mr. Powell, we say that everybody purchases property with knowledge
We
that.
all sign those papers that we.
That's
say.
Right, yes, you're aware
Go
of
into
that.
close
Read it,
and-
So, yeah.
That's right.
The property owner's predicament, I believe, cannot be feasibly obviated through a method other than the variance. You need that to put the full 12-foot structure on there. The spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice would be done by granting the variance. Again, it will allow you to make the addition with the structure, the sunroom. Then the discussion of the findings of fact, is that where we are, Mark? Do we need to have that?
I believe where we can either go into discussion, which I didn't hear anybody that was really interested in that, so we can go right to a
No,
motion.
there's nothing else.
If you want to make
Okay,
somebody wants to
then,
make a motion.
Mark Phillips moves to incorporate exhibits A through D, as well as the board's findings pertaining to the review of section 307.06 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution into evidence and to approve the requested variance from the Harvest Wind Development text for BZA, case number 2022-07, application received September 1, 2022, to allow for the principal building to encroach, and this is modified to 7 feet, into a 30-foot rear setback on property known as Lot 3403 in Harvest Wind subdivision, property address 6630 Chanticleer Court, Westerville, Ohio, 43082, zoned Planned Residential District, or PRD. This motion is based on the following findings of fact pursuant to section 307.04 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution. Number one, that such variance or modification will not be contrary to the public interest because, one, you have a neighbor that has a similar structure there. It's only a 7-foot encroachment. It'll improve the property by the construction of the sunroom. Other comments? No. Two, that owing to special conditions, a literal enforcement of this zoning resolution will result in an unnecessary hardship because the homeowner would be unable to build the complete structure. You'd only get to build
5 feet.
5
Right,
feet.
yeah.
Yeah, 5 feet. Three, that the approval of such variance or modification thereof is consistent with the spirit of the zoning resolution and substantial justice shall be done thereby because, again, it allows you to develop the property and enhance the backyard with a sunroom. Approval of the subject variance is subject to the owner's agreement to the following conditions. The only one that I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, is that condition should be the pergola is to not be attached to the house. They've indicated they'll do that, and I think that should be.
And that's in the plans. Yep, I included that.
So as long as it's
Yep.
not attached to the
Freestanding.
house, that's
Correct.
the only condition. Then we have 5 other points that are subject to review by the board tonight. All required permits, zoning or otherwise, shall be obtained. 2, pursuant to section 307.11 of the Genoa Township zoning resolution, the approved variance shall lapse, expire, and be null and void ab initio if required zoning permits are not obtained within 1 year of this motion of approval. 3, extensions to this variance may be requested pursuant to sections 307.11A and B of the Genoa Township zoning resolution as may be amended from time to time. 4, the Board of Zoning Appeals does grant the Genoa Township zoning inspector authority to extend this variance at their discretion, subject to the deadlines established within section 307.11A of the Genoa Township zoning resolution as may be amended from time to time. Any other
Okay.
conditions? No other conditions?
Dorothy seconds. No, I'm good if everybody else is. Okay. Okay, any other discussion?
Call the question.
I do have one question for any one of you. Is there screening, like trees or anything at the back of your?
Yes, he has very tall, pine trees. Pine trees
Okay.
that are natural.
So there is some screening between the two properties? Okay, okay. I think I am ready to go. So, I will call the roll. Mr. Boone?
Yes.
Ms. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Ms. Yu?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion's carried. Enjoy your construction. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I know it was a long evening for you. And the hearing is closed at
No,
9:12.
we have one more matter before the board.
Yeah, we got one more thing.
Oh, I thought you were going to say.
We've got
Jumped the gun.
Okay, we have one other item. Gentlemen, if you would. We're still in session. Thank you for coming out, appreciate it. We still have one item left. Okay, this is the proposed agenda for next year. I can tell you that it's fairly likely I will not be able to attend the March meeting unless we want to move it.
Sorry, we won't have any meetings until.
Well, yeah, that's probably true too. It's my father-in-law's 90th birthday and I'll be in Arizona, I think. Well, he's in Arizona. I'd rather go to Phoenix in March, thanks. And otherwise, the only other thing I see is, like this year, we're gonna be Tuesday before Thanksgiving if we meet. And then it looks like we're the Tuesday after Thanksgiving if we meet in November next year. So unless anybody has any issues with that. That's all I.
When is Thanksgiving?
It'll probably be on the 25th or 26th next year. No, it'll be,
The 23rd.
yeah, okay.
It's Tuesday.
Because it always, every 7 years falls on my birthday and then it's right around, then.
You say 90th birthday?
Pardon?
Your 90th birthday?
Yeah, I quit counting, thanks. Thanks for the thought.
So do we want to move the March meeting? Is that what you're suggesting?
I don't care. If you guys want to do it without me, that's fine too. I just wanted to mention that it's unlikely I will be here. I can't say I will not, but.
Susan, do we have that discretion to change it if we want to change it?
So why isn't it the 28th?
The March meeting?
Yeah.
I don't know. Why is it?
Why is it the 21st, yeah?
Oh, that is early. You're right.
Right.
Okay, let's make it the fourth
Is
Tuesday.
there anything on the 28th?
That's your deadline for the next set of applications, but that shouldn't affect anything, right?
Let's see here.
March 28th.
28th?
Yes, it's holiday or scheduling conflict. Was there a scheduling conflict?
Yeah, I'm good with changing it to March 28th.
Yeah, we can look at that.
Okay.
Oops, that's 2023. Okay.
If my memory serves me right, I think March 28th was a spring break for most of the schools around here, and there was possibly an issue with zoning staff being available that week. I believe that was the reason for March 28th being moved to March 21st.
Yeah, I'm going with my kids to spring break.
My cats don't care whether I go or not.
To Fort Lauderdale?
You're never gonna get a date that's good for everybody.
That is true. And
Panama City.
And Los Angeles.
you're gonna go during hurricane season?
That's today, isn't it?
So if
It sure
Mark's,
is.
if you're not here on the 21st,
I should
That's
be here on
okay.
the 28th, though. But will you?
Yeah, I'd say the 20th is the normal day,
But,
right.
okay,
but we have two alternates, so it would be good.
well, that's true, and we do have a vice chair, so, do you want to do it on the 21st or,
I mean, I don't care, I just was,
I don't
had
care
just
either.
asked why it was changed.
Whatever you guys
is all.
want to do.
There's a problem either direction.
Pardon?
There's a problem for he brought up either direction, whether we do the 28th or 21st.
That's not a problem. Spring break's not a problem, is it?
Not for me.
Also, some staff might not be available because they'll be on spring break, but.
Does that mean you, Paul?
As in myself, and also the other person that runs the YouTube live stream will also be on vacation that week. So it's really a staff issue more than a board issue.
Oh, staff.
Yeah, we can cover a meeting that you're not at, but I don't think we could cover the YouTube broadcast.
Make it work. If,
Be
if it needs to be at the 28th, staff will be able to make it work. It's your meeting. You're the one that can set the schedule. So.
You know, hold on though, too, because that no, that's not the meeting. Okay, never mind. Yeah, whatever you guys want to do.
I mean, and it's possible we won't even have any applications for that.
Well, that's
too,
always
so, I
true,
mean,
too. All right, let's leave it on the 21st.
Let's do the 21st.
It is what it is,
Yep,
because it's
yep,
possible I
21st.
won't be leaving that day anyway.
Yep.
Because it's only I think there's only one flight a day out, and I can take it Wednesday.
You need a motion?
Oh, God. I just drove to Texas. That was enough, thanks. Oh, it's Arizona, Phoenix. Yeah, I think we're good then, Paul.
Right,
Susan,
as is?
Paul. As is. Yeah,
proposed.
okay, unless there's something else that I don't know about.
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, not everybody,
Second.
why do you guys always want to get out of here so
Second.
quick?
I'm hungry.
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Yay, we're good. We're adjourned at 9:18.